All right. Welcome to this episode of the Joyful Scaling Podcast. I'm really excited because we're talking about a platform that is under talked about, LinkedIn. And I'm here with Jennifer Corcoran. She is an award-winning and accredited LinkedIn trainer and specialist. She's amazing. She helps introverted female coaches, consultants, trainers, and service-based entrepreneurs how to attract their ideal client there on LinkedIn so that they can reach that next level of revenue without paid ads or spammy outreach. And who wants to pay for it if we can get it organically, right? And spammy, we've all been there. Okay. Her business is called My Super Connector. Let's say hey to Jennifer.
Hi, Judy. Thanks so much for having me. And I was giggling with the spammy because I think we have all been there and we all hate it.
You know, it never ceases to amaze me how people can think you connect and right out of the gate, they're like, hey, I got this offer. Hey, I got this. You need this. You need that. It's like, oh my gosh, back off. And then I unconnect.
Yeah. So I just think it's just lack of education on how to use LinkedIn, or they've been trained in the wrong way. And it's just such a shame because they could be genuinely like really nice people with great offers, you know, services or products, but it is such a turn off. And it's the same if you meet anyone in real life at a face-to-face networking event or even on Zoom and they just go launched right into their offer. You just think, let's get to know each other a bit first before you go straight in.
Yeah. And okay, last thing I say before I get off the spammy thing, this is something that I found more and more where there's a young looking woman who, you know, her profile makes it look like it's her business. And then in the DMs, she's saying, oh, you need to get to know Joe Blow. He is the CEO of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all over my bios everywhere is I'm a women's advocate. I only work with women. And anyway, that just really is irritating because then they set themselves up to look like the business owner and they're really just like an admin. Have you seen that?
I've not personally experienced it that much, but you do sometimes get people and their VA going in and then the VA might forget to sign off as their boss. So you do see another name and you're like, oh, who's this person?
Yeah. All right. Well, in a prior episode, we talked about LinkedIn profile optimization. So right away, right out of the gate, Jennifer, I want to talk about the 3 main ways to network on LinkedIn and which one is the best way to do it.
Well, the great thing about LinkedIn is there's no like one best way. It's all about figuring out which way suits you, your personality, your goals, and your schedule. So the 3 ways to network on LinkedIn are the home feed, Messenger, and groups. And I think there's so much focus on the home feed that most people think that's the only way. But you really can get a lot of traction in Messenger when done the right way and when not spammy and cold, awkward outreach when done, you know, properly. And groups, you can really learn how to leverage groups as well. So, you know, you can pick one way and go all in. I know when I first started to use LinkedIn, I was all in on Messenger for probably the first 5 years before I ever showed up on the home feed or in groups. And that worked for me. Now as a business owner, I do a combination of all 3, but I think it's just about figuring out what feels right for you. You know, if there are any fellow introverts listening, they might think, oh, the thought of having to do videos or lives or constantly showing up might make them feel ill. But the good news is you don't have to do it if you don't want to. Just because there are all the bells and whistles doesn't mean you have to use absolutely all of the features. So it's about you digging deep and figuring out, you know, what is your energy level? What are your goals? How much time have you got to commit? And choosing one and going all in, or maybe doing a little combination.
Wow, that is so interesting. Okay, I want to go a little bit deeper on that if we could. To your point, I'm all about the power of one. So, you know, I typically say choose one platform that you're going to go all in on. And so the fact that you're suggesting that perhaps choose one of the home feed, Messenger, or groups to hone in on, boy, that really would certainly make you be the expert or become the expert at that one area. I'd love to take each one a little bit separately if we could. So the home feed, I will be honest, look, I have over 17,000 connections. I used to be very, very active when Facebook My Facebook account got hacked. I was just turned off from all social and I went dark on LinkedIn for about 3, 4, 5 months, and I cannot get the engagement back. But what are the secrets, quote unquote, on getting eyes on your home feed, those posts that you're doing maybe daily or every other day?
I think just the basic kind of tips and tricks are, number one, good headline, because a lot of people, they write great posts, but the headline's quite bland. And it's the same as email marketing. You could have an amazing email, but if the headline doesn't grab someone's attention, they just delete the email off. So a really strong headline to grab the attention. Then visuals, really strong visuals, because you want something that pops on the home feed and is not the same as all the other stock images. So really good branding, really good visuals. I think copy wise, just telling stories works a lot. So I'm sure we've all heard the saying, you know, facts tell, stories sell. So just being able to showcase your expertise through the power of stories helps people to connect with you better. But I think, yeah, at a basic level, ask yourself, are you a marketeer? Are you a copywriter? Do you have amazing visuals? If you don't, can you outsource? If you can't outsource, maybe the home feed's not the best place for you, because the people that will tell you it's all about the home feed are marketers, and they have got marketing experience. They know how to do the copywriting. They know all about the visuals. So ask yourself, is that your strong suit? Because it's not my strong suit. I'm a LinkedIn trainer, and I'll openly admit it's not. My strong suit is DMs, you know, and connecting with people and taking the relationship offline. And I can do some posts and they'll get loads of traction, and another day I can do another post and it will get minimum traction. So for me, my magic is in the DMs, but I do know the ones that get the traction, they always got a strong visual or a strong hook, a strong headline, and they're the ones where I'm telling a human story. So I'll give you an example. You could post up a photo of you from a branding photo shoot, and you think, oh, that's a lovely image, but you'll get hardly any traction because people know it's a business photo. Whereas I've posted a shot of me and my husband after I won an award, and just a picture of us like with a glass of champagne. That one got over 1,000 likes because it was me as a human being. It wasn't like airbrushed, polished to perfection like in your professional one. So people connect to it better. So I think showing up as a human being always goes down well. And the more businessy type posts, they'll never get the traction you want. The things that go viral on LinkedIn are human stories, whether they're, you know, somebody's saying, oh, I've just got a new job, I've been looking for 5 months, and people are like, well done, or I've graduated, or I've got this certificate. They're all human stories. They're not somebody saying, I've just got a new program coming out, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think those human stories are the way to go.
Okay, interesting. And here's, in the way of visuals, here's what I'm seeing, and I'd love your opinion on this. There's something called documents, which my coach loves. She's like, Jude, look how my reach is on documents. And ladies, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they remind me of like a carousel of photos, but it's Canva kind of graphics that are telling the story of what is in the story in the caption, if that makes sense. So that tends to be doing really well. And surprisingly, videos, not live, but videos you post on don't seem to be doing well. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, I know it was all about video, I would say, last year. And I've noticed myself that the traction of videos has gone down a little bit. And certainly LinkedIn Live, when I first applied for it and got it, it was like the hot thing. But my lives don't get the traction they used to. So yeah, video for some reason is not getting the ultimate traction that it used to. Branded visuals, like you said, they are super popular at the moment. So a document on LinkedIn, it can be either a 1-page PDF or it can be several pages. And the branded carousel that you mentioned, they are super popular, and any business owner can, you know, create them. You could have one that's, you know, 3 ways to network on LinkedIn, and that's the cover. And then you've got way 1, you know, way 2, tip 3, and then the very last page is, if you need my help, contact me. So that's like a really easy branded carousel that any business owner can do, because we're all quite nosy and curious as humans, so we like to scroll. So when there is something to scroll through, we will look. So they do score. I think they probably outscore videos at the moment. I do think they're really popular. And then another feature that's a love or hate, I love them, a lot of people hate them, is polls. And they get massive engagement at the moment because they prompt engagement. You know, they ask a question and you respond, and even the people who say they hate them, a lot of the time they respond. So that
I love you're so right, Jennifer. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I am smiling so big because of the polls. The polls always, you know, they like that 20, 30 times my other engagement. People love polls. And so, yes, I'm posting them several times a week. This is such great information. All right, let's go to your genius zone now, and let's go deeper about the DMs, because there's a lot of stuff being said out there by so-called gurus about how to approach connecting on the DMs. So I would love kind of your overarching approach to DMs, and what are some of the best tips to really get to know people and, you know, further along your business.
I think the first thing is to always personalize your connection requests. And I'm quite old school. I always do this on the desktop just because it's a lot easier than on the app. I think make people feel special. Tell them exactly why you want to connect with them. Don't get them asking themselves, who is this person? Why have they just sent me this generic request? So make it easy for people. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, you don't always have to send written messages. You have got audio voice notes and you have got video messaging. So personalization is a big thing for me. And I think we're so sick of spammy written messages. So where I can, I will send an audio, because as an introvert, I love the audio feature. I don't have to show up. For my clients, I'll send videos because they know me. But that really helps you to stand out because it's personalized for that person. It's not a copy and paste. It's very hard to ignore an audio. It's like ignoring a voicemail. And likewise, if somebody makes a video message for you that's personalized, it's super hard to ignore that. And they really get 100% response, really, as opposed to written messages. I think, you know, people can kind of they're kind of over them, and they just get so many that they don't always reply to them straight away. So if in doubt, and if you think something sounds a bit salesy or you're not sure how it's coming across, do an audio or a video, because you'll just come across as a human being, and that's how people will connect with you better.
Right. And you see, because I work with women, many of whom are introverts, or if they're not introverts, they don't like to see themselves on video, maybe not even like their voice, that they tend to say, well, it's just easier to copy and paste. And then I say, well, it may be easier, but the results are significantly less. Is it really worth your time? So I love all those tips. Let's talk about like what to say. Okay. So I know we're not going too deep here, but I do just want to say, all right, now the connection is made.
Yeah.
And I advise that you continue having a conversation, like it's about question, answer. What would be your best advice in that regard?
I think the first mistake that most people make is they send out the personalized connection request and then the person accepts and then they ignore them. And I'm like, this is actually where it begins. So firstly, thank them for connecting with you. And it doesn't have to be a super long war and peace message about you and, you know, what you're doing and them. Just make chit chat the way you would make chit chat at a face-to-face event. If you know, so I will always reference things like the weather or where I live, or just start a conversation. And usually that's when you'll connect, because you know, I live in Devon in the southwest of the UK. I'm not from Devon. I'm from Dublin, and I lived in London for a long time. So a lot of my network is probably London based. So when I mention Devon, it's more of a holiday resort. They're like, oh, Devon, I love it. And they'll mention somewhere and we'll get into a natural conversation. So I even think like mentioning the weather, COVID, location, because we're all in these strange COVID times as well. There's going to be something that people can connect with, and you'll start a conversation that way. And that's how we do it in real life. We kind of say, you know, we talk about the weather. How did you get here? You know, what are you drinking if you're over by the drink stand connecting? So it's never anything too deep to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Right. And do you agree that at the end of it, like ask a question to get them to keep going, like say, la, 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 la. And how about you? Or where do you like to go on holiday or that kind of thing? Do you
Or I think reference their profile and their content as well. It's very easy to bring up their profile and look at their last post. Or even if they haven't been posting, you can see their comments, anything like that. Or you'd see something in their profile, such as you went to the same university, or you belong to the same association or network, or the same people. I think if you can bring something like that into it, then it kind of brings it around to the business level. So, and a lot of people, they don't take the time to look at your profile or your content. I've had spammy people reach out to me and say, do you want LinkedIn training or do you want social media training? And I'm like, have you looked at what I do? And I think when you take that time, people appreciate it, even if it's just, I was looking through your posts and I really liked that comment you made about XYZ, or I really liked that article you shared. It was really interesting. I loved when you said XYZ. So just make people feel appreciated and special, because you will massively stand out on LinkedIn, because most people don't do that.
And that is a beautiful point. I just want to land on for a moment. Ladies, what Jennifer is suggesting doesn't take a whole lot of time. And the sad thing, the reality is most people won't take that moment to go look at the profile. But if you do, that will make you stand out. That's beautiful. All right. I want to wrap up this talk on the messenger, the DMs. Because you said you love that, like, give us an idea of how much time you devote to that every, day, or however that is for you. And do you time block it? And what are your thoughts on saying, this is kind of the process of how I work, quote unquote, the DMs?
I say, like, every day on LinkedIn, my routine is roughly like 15 to 20 minutes tops. And 5 minutes will be on a post on the home feed to stand out. Then 5 minutes will be outreach, reaching out to people that I'm interested in or potential clients. 5 minutes will be commenting on posts on personal profiles or company pages of people I'm interested in as well. And then potentially 5 minutes just chatting to my existing network. So it doesn't take a lot of time. And when you are sending like audio messages, you've got a 60-second limit. It doesn't mean all my audios are 60 seconds. Some of them are 10 seconds long. If I'm reaching out to previous clients or suppliers or partners, it could just be hi Judy, hope you're keeping well, haven't seen you around for a while, I'd love to hear from you. Just something short and sweet. So I promise this does not have to take all day, and you have to treat LinkedIn as a tool. That is what it is. And the magic of LinkedIn is taking the relationships off LinkedIn. So for me, I take them onto email, onto Zoom. That's what it's all about. LinkedIn wasn't created for us to spend 24/7 on it. Similar to your email. If you're going to spend the whole day in your inbox and your email, you're going to be reactive. You're not going to be proactive. And as a former personal assistant, I only went into my email, once or twice a day, and I do the same with LinkedIn. Otherwise, you'll fall down the social media rabbit hole, and that's when it becomes overwhelming. So like 20 minutes, and it's about you figuring out who do you want to connect with. So I'm constantly doing outreach as well. It's not just relying on inbound from my content. It's me, adding maybe 5 people a day, sometimes 10 people a day, and constantly building that network.
Wow. Such great advice. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's talk about groups briefly. So you mentioned that that's the third way to network. Groups they definitely have a different flavor than Facebook groups that I'm intimately familiar with. And I think a lot of my audience is as well. Tell us about groups. Why do we need to be there? And how do we even find the right ones?
Yeah. LinkedIn groups, they did used to be great like 10, 20 years ago. Now they're not as good as Facebook groups, and I'll put it out there. But for me, the magic of groups are the people in the groups. And I would probably say I've built my network maybe a third of my network from groups of like minds. So I'm not crazy on the interaction in groups because there's a lot of spam or there's just no engagement. But like I said, the people, they've joined a group, so they've already said, I'm up for networking. And I just think it's great for warm outreach. So if you belong to any kind of an association or a network, maybe it's a BNI or a local chamber of commerce, if they've got a group on LinkedIn, why wouldn't you be reaching out to all the members, because you're all fellow members of that association, and just say, hi Judy, we both belong to BNI, and I'd love to, I see we're in the same LinkedIn group as well, I'd love to connect. And that's warm outreach. It's not just spammy cold. You've got something in common. So for me, the magic is really about the people. So I don't really look at the home feeding groups. I always go to the top right where you can see all the members and scroll through and say, who's interesting in here, who will add value to my network. And it's a great way for prospecting as well. If you know who your ideal client is, and if you find a group where they're hanging out, it just makes sense to start there.
Wow. It's just so basic. Like, here's what I find in business. This is why I'm all about simplicity. We're overthinking it. And I think that the gurus out there, we're allowing them to get into our heads too much. We just have to use the brains that the good Lord gave us and think, what's the best way to just find the right people? Because what you're saying, it's powerful, but I think what makes it powerful is its simplicity. It is so like common sense. Okay. Now, as we're talking about all these different interactions, my thought is how to track it all. Like, we've got to keep track so that we know when to go back and follow up and things like that. What do you suggest in the way of keeping organized?
I mean, everyone's different. Some people will have like an Excel file or a CRM. It's one of the reasons why I love DMs, because I can always go back in and check our messages and see when we last chatted, what did we chat about, and then see if there's a good way for us to start the conversation again. I think what I advise all my clients is download your existing LinkedIn connections into a file, and so you can generate a CSV file and you can print it off or you can save it on your computer. And I highlight people every month I want to reach out to, because I think a lot of people are obsessed with constantly building their network. They actually forget the amazing people they're already connected to. So like once a month, I would have, a set amount of people that I want to reach out to. So I think everybody's different. Some business owners may not have capacity to work with a zillion clients, so just being clear on who your ideal prospects are, and, fitting up some time in your calendar, whether it's one day a week or one day a month, and doing that outreach. But I don't have, like, my thing is really that file that I've generated from LinkedIn directly. And if you need, I can email you the instructions on how to do that, Judy, if you want to attach that to this episode.
Oh, that would be amazing, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
I think so many people don't know that you can even do this and download your connections. And I think it's such a useful thing to do, even if you do it at a bare minimum once a year. And it'd be perfect for coming into like 2022. Just have it downloaded and look through, because you will amaze yourself. I highlight them all in yellow because you're kind of like, oh my God, I forgot about Judy. She's amazing. I need to reach out to her. So that's a great place to start.
And that's, what, I did that just a couple of months ago. Ladies, never forget, Google is your best friend. You Google, how do I download my LinkedIn connections? And voila, not only will you get a step-by-step, but you can, I'm sure, find a video somewhere. So that's awesome. Before we end, I want to chat about the free version of LinkedIn versus the premium, especially as it relates to organic reach. I would love your feedback on the difference between the free and the premium.
I think that the free version is great if you fully leverage it. And I think so many people assume that by upgrading to premium, they're going to get more reach, they're going to get more attraction and prospects. But you're not, if you're not leveraging the free features, or if you haven't optimized your profile, or if you don't have a good content strategy, it's not going to be any different if you upgrade to premium. What you will get is improved search functionality. But if you don't know how to use search on the free version and you're not already using it, you're kind of wasting your money. So I liken it really to email marketing. So you could be on free version of MailChimp, and then you upgrade to the all bells and whistles version of ActiveCampaign. If you don't know how to use all the bells and whistles, you're wasting your money. So a lot of LinkedIn trainers are still on the free version, and I think it's amazing if you learn how to leverage it. Only when you've exhausted all the functionality from the free version should you upgrade to premium, because otherwise, I have seen a lot of people, they have premium, and I look at their profile and it's just poorly optimized. They're not going to be showing up in any search. They don't have the right keywords. They don't have the right branding. And you just think, what a waste of money, save whether it's £600 or $600 a year, and actually go and invest in a good headshot and a good cover banner and some training on how to use LinkedIn. Because if you're not willing to fully explore all the features of premium, you're just going to be wasting your time. And if you're time poor and you're not going to put in that effort, I say don't bother upgrading. And I've recently written a blog on it on my LinkedIn profile if anybody wants to see. I kind of break it down with charts and diagrams. Don't get me wrong, there are some good benefits about premium, but I just think if you're not going to use all of the features, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. I totally get it. It's about just what you said. Are you going to use it? Do you even know how to use it? My husband loves bells and whistles on everything. And I'm just like, he recently upgraded the lights and I don't even know how to work them. I'm like, I just want to be able to flip a switch. So I so understand what you're saying. If you're not going to use what's already there, or certainly if you're paying for more. See, some people think, well, if I have that special notification on my profile, will people think more of me? What's your reaction to that?
Nah, yeah, I get where they're coming from, but it won't help you come up in any more searches. It won't, push your content anymore in the algorithm. For positioning, I just think every time I see somebody with it and I can see they've not got an optimized profile, I just think, what a waste of money. So yeah, I just think get the free version working for you first, and really deep dive into your profile and your personal brand and your business brand and your values and your mission, and know what your keywords are, because so many business owners don't actually even know what their keywords are. And it's like your website, if you don't have the right keywords there, you're not going to be found in search.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The SEO is so important. And I think it's something I know I need to learn more. I think that's something we can always learn, especially as things change. But yeah, keywords, it's critical, no matter what platform you are, especially Pinterest or YouTube and especially LinkedIn, because what I love about LinkedIn is that when you Google yourself, it's one of the first things that comes up. Yeah. So that is primary real estate that needs to be optimized. So I love that. One last thing. The imposter syndrome on LinkedIn. You told me a stat, which is just astounding, and I want to make sure we get it out here in this episode. About 90% of all users are lurkers and they don't comment or post. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there's a huge potential for organic reach on LinkedIn. If you're brave enough to show up, you're just really going to stand out, because only between 1% and 3% of all the LinkedIn users, and we're now at about 800 million users, only 1% to 3% actually create content, such a tiny percentage. And then up to 10% comment on that existing content, or they share curated content and give their comment on the top. So you've got 90% roughly just there in the sidelines watching. They've just got blocks. They're not sure how to use it. They're not sure what to say. They're overthinking it. They're procrastinating, and it's sad for them, but it's great for the people who are brave enough to either create your own original content or comment on existing content, which is low-hanging fruit. You can still stand out every day by doing a few comments on posts already up there, because every time you leave a comment, you're leaving a virtual business card and people can see your headshot and your headline. And I've had people quote my comments back to me. We're all curious as human beings. We're all quite nosy. So people read the comments. So they are gold dust as well, so don't discount even commenting, because that's a great way to show up if you've not got to the stage yet where you're ready to create your own content. But yeah, sadly, it's about 90% are just on there. And I think it's because it's the professional platform and it just freaks people out. And they're just like, oh, I'm not a thought leader. How can I stand out? And it's just by giving value to your network. So knowing who you are, knowing who your audience is, and just constantly giving them value, you know, informing them, educating them, motivating them, inspiring them. It's taking yourself out of the equation and always asking yourself, so what, when you're about to post something, how is this going to help anyone else? So I think if you always say, so what, in your head, and if it's all about you, then probably delete.
Yeah. Okay. Great advice. Awesome. Where can our listeners find you best online besides LinkedIn?
So yeah, on LinkedIn, and then my website's called mysuperconnector.co.uk. So I would say, yeah, my website, LinkedIn, email. I'm quite old school, and Microsoft own LinkedIn now, so it's all connected.
Okay, awesome. And do you have, I think you said you had something special to make sure our listeners knew about what's coming up.
Yeah, every few months I run an 8-week group program for female entrepreneurs called the LinkedIn Tribe Academy, and the next one will be launching in January. So if you want to go deep and learn about LinkedIn in a safe space, I do it for like 15 to 20 women max. So if you are not a fan of like huge groups where hundreds of people are in it or thousands of people, it's perfect for you. And a lot of the ladies who've done it before have gone on to collaborate and work with each other as well, which is lovely to see.
Absolutely. All right. Last question. This is called the Joyful Scaling Podcast. So tell us, Jennifer, what do you find the most joy inside your business?
Oh, I just think giving people the confidence really to shine in their profiles, because a lot of, especially women, you know, play it small. And when I dig deep into their profiles and I help them reframe their summary, they're usually starting to kind of big themselves up around paragraph 5 or 6. And I'm like, no, this goes straight to the top. And I think when I send it back to them, they just feel so much more confident. They kind of lean into who they are and they own it. So I think, I suppose, giving them the permission to stand out and shine, whereas a lot of them think, oh, I can't say that. And I'm like, yes, you can.
So yes, do it, right? Yes, you can. And yes, you should.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think helping them to toot their horn and just kind of lean into their own brilliance, because when I look at their profiles, I'm like, oh my God, she hasn't put this in. This is amazing. What about this? What about this? And when I dig deep, there's so much like hidden gold that they're not showcasing. So I think it's just, yeah, showing them how amazing they can look and then making them realize they are amazing.
Wow, that is so good. Jennifer, thank you so much. There's so many beautiful, impactful, powerful golden nuggets of wisdom on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for sharing all of it with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies, thank you for listening. And if you've loved this episode, and I have no doubt you did, would you please make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss another powerful episode? New episodes drop every Tuesday with bonus episodes on Friday, sometimes even more than that. But please do leave us your feedback. And if you haven't yet left us a review, I would love you to do that now. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.